You're watching Swipe. Coming up on this week's show. Reading without using your eyes. We test a wearable for partially sighted people. Rebooting games characters. I speak to one of the people behind the revamped Lara Croft. And we prepare for the big match in this week's Games Review. Welcome to Swipe. We're going to talk about reading to kick things off this week. It's a skill that many of us probably take for granted. But for people with sight loss, things like food menus or signs are pretty much useless. So when we heard about a device that can do the reading for you, we had to find out more. Here's Will.
It just becomes natural after a little while.
Robin's sight problems can make life difficult, especially in busy cities like London. Although he has a good field of vision, signs and notices are often too blurry for him to make out, which makes navigation tricky. But a small device that fits onto a pair of glasses has the potential to change this.
Cheapside.
Orcam focuses on text and says it via a speaker. All the wearer needs to do is point at the words, and the device does the rest.
And you clip them like this.
The camera fits onto any pair of glasses, and the computer and battery sit inside a small black box.
Picture data is very rich, and it takes a lot of effort to distill the useful bits of that, of all that rich information to things that are actually useful for you. So we use a lot of techniques in artificial intelligence and computer vision and deep learning and, to extract the useful information in an instant and provide it to the wearer.
The cafe? Okay. Yep.
Orcam can also recognise faces, but it's most useful when looking at printed text.
Probiotic Greek-style yogurt with...
Reading a menu is one of the things that many people take for granted.
Soups, chicken, noodle.
Usually, Robin would have to ask what was on offer, instead of finding out for himself.
Text seems blurry. Please hold it steady.
But it's not perfect. It struggles in different lights and doesn't always pick out every word.
Can't read text.
So how could it be improved?
What would be fantastic for me would be to think about, the capabilities that would be possible with Bluetooth. So imagine being able to pair this up with a smartphone using Google Maps or Apple Maps and actually being able to have Orcam working in tandem with the mapping application. That would take it, to another level as well.
One of the most common problems with new technology is the price. Orcam costs around £2,200, so even though it has the potential to change lives, could the cost stop it from happening?
We want to have people who cannot read. They could be blind or visually impaired or even dyslexic. And they can take this device and they can read anything. And all of a sudden, the world is open to them. And they can do whatever they want. And they can be successful. So for the whole society, it's much cheaper.
The green turtle of the Galapagos, above.
Over the next few years, devices like this could become common sights. But more work may be needed before they start to have an impact. Will Sargent, Sky News.
Stay with us. Still to come, we'll be getting inside the mind of one of the most influential names in gaming. Rhianna Pratchett is coming right up after a roundup of this week's tech news. Stanford University researchers say their understanding of whale behaviour has been revolutionised after trying a new kind of technology to study them. They've been using a suction cup-based tagging system with a combination of sensors and video. It's revealed details about the feeding habits of certain whales, which could help conservation efforts. Have a listen to this. It's the first ever recording of computer-generated music, created on a giant machine invented by computing pioneer Alan Turing. Two researchers from New Zealand have managed to restore the audio from its original 1951 disc. If we ever run out of water on Earth, we might be able to fill up near Jupiter. NASA's found what it thinks are plumes of water spewing from the surface of Jupiter's moon Europa. It could mean future missions will be able to take samples from the moon's ocean without having to drill through thick layers of ice. And an esports team based in the UK has been bought by the owners of Crystal Palace Football Club and the NBA team, the Philadelphia 76ers. It's the first time a North American sports franchise has bought an esports team. Swipe met Team Dignitas and their managing director Michael O'Dell back in 2012 when I joined them at a competition in Paris. Stick around for our games review where we battle against a nanobot plague in the latest Destiny game. But first... Now, one area of video games development that we've never really looked closely at before here on Swipe is the actual storytelling bit. Well, Rhianna Pratchett is perhaps one of the best-known games writers, and I got to have a chat with her about her job ahead of her appearance at the innovation-focused Future Fest event recently. What's a typical day like in the life of a games writer?
Well, there is really no one typical day, and that's one of the reasons I like being a writer. I tend to spend a lot of time faffing around in the mornings, playing with the cats, checking my iPad and playing games and stuff, and then I kind of slowly rev up to the evening when I'm sort of in full writing mode.
This is probably one of the most recognisable characters in gaming history, Lara Croft, the British gun-toting archaeologist adventurer who burst onto the scene in 1996 in the very first Tomb Raider game. Rhianna was one of the team who later helped create a prequel. You famously revamped the character Lara Croft from Tomb Raider. Why was that reboot needed and what did you change?
In 2013, we brought out the rebooted Tomb Raider, and Lara's, she's 21, she's just out of university. She thinks she knows everything like you do when you're at that age. It's her first big adventure, and it all goes horribly wrong, and she has to survive, basically. And she still has all the traits that we associate with classic Lara: bravery, tenacity, strength, resourcefulness. But in the games, they're just sort of bubbling to the surface, which makes it a really fertile area for a writer to work in.
Do you get asked a lot about her body image?
A little bit, but that's not really down to me. She already had her visuals in place when I came on board. It's not sexualised in the way that previous Lara's marketing was, which I think did a little bit of a disservice to Lara in the game, because I think there was a bit of a disconnect between classic Lara in the game and the way classic Lara was marketed. I mean, she looks like a young woman you'd see kind of walking down the street.
What's the actual process of writing a game? Do you sit down and just begin, or are you given a brief first? Tell us about that.
Every time you start a project, you basically get a box of narrative body parts that's pushed across the table to you. And it is usually a little bit of backstory. There's some visuals in there. There are, the characters may have a little bit of bio. They may be purely just a visual. Faith in Mirror's Edge was just a visual. I had to breathe life into her.
How is technology now changing the way that you tell stories?
I think for me, mo capture over the last decade and the way that the industry has started to embrace that has been one of the most important things for me. It is about capturing performance, and so that means you're sort of not just writing for a character to be voiced, but fully performed, and I think that sort of makes a difference as well.
And of course your father, Sir Terry Pratchett, the famous fantasy novelist, was he a big influence on your storytelling?
It's hard to tell, really, I think, with parents, because it's all very subtle. I think it can be in the little ways they bring you up. Like, he never sort of sat me down and said, this is how you do it. I think he was a great believer in you have to learn it for yourself, rather than I can't just impart all the secrets. He was always very curious about everything, and he definitely imparted that to me.
Well, the football season kicked off in August, but fans have had to wait a while for a new game to play alongside it. So we asked Ross to get his hands on FIFA 17, plus a couple of other new releases.
Okay, guys, a new season, a fresh start.
So we're coming to the time of year where video games are going to be coming out thick and fast, and it starts with FIFA 17. Yes, the best football simulator is back once more, and this time they've done quite a bit of changes to it, the main one being a whole brand new graphics engine. This is where you will see, especially up close, a massive difference in the quality of the facial recognition to all of the players, and also some of the managers now in the game.
What's he thinking?
Another new thing that they've added is a brand new career called The Journey. You take the part of Alex Hunter, where you will go from being an 11-year-old on the Clapham Common pitch, trying to take a penalty to win a game for your youth team, all the way through to trying to become the biggest and best player. It's a fantastic game, and if you love football, FIFA 17 is definitely one for you. Destiny fans, you're going to have to wait a little longer for the next full game, but don't worry. You've got Destiny Rise of Iron, which is a brand new full-on expansion, which is going to offer you brand new missions set on Earth in a whole new area that you have not been to before. Loads of gameplay through that, plus new raids, a new strike, lots of new stuff for the multiplayer competitive scene as well. But this will also give you a chance to increase your character's level, including the light level, which is something that you'll have been wanting to do for a long time. So Destiny fans, yes, you may have to wait for probably Destiny 2 in maybe a year or two's time, but don't worry, this expansion is going to get you back into the world and enjoying the game once again. Forza Horizon 3 is new and available now for Xbox One and PC. Yes, this time you're taking the festival to Australia. You're going to go through the outback, through rainforests, and then through the beaches and city of the Gold Coast. So many races, so many new things added, 350 cars available to drive in this game. Plus all of these different challenges that are going to come across that you may have seen in previous games, but like racing speedboats or racing a huge airship. Yes, all of these classic things are going to return, plus many more new things, including a chance to play with 3 other friends, yes, 4-player online multiplayer. And if they're not online, you can actually employ your friends if you want them to come along with you as drivatars to earn you more fans. And if they're not doing their job well, you can also fire them. So if you love your driving games, this is definitely one I recommend you check out.
Well, that's it for this week's show. But don't forget, you can watch any of our Swipe episodes in our YouTube playlist. Just type in Sky News Swipe. And stay up to date with all the latest tech stories on Sky News on mobile, tablet, catch up, Sky Q and Snapchat throughout the week. We'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.